Welcome to The Book Carriers, your favorite book club podcast.
I'm Cassandra, the hopeless romantic book carrier.
I'm Angela, the logical book carrier.
And I'm Becca, the sentimental book carrier.
We are three 30-something best friends and busy moms who live vicariously through the stories we read.
So grab your cup of coffee, get comfy, and let's get lost in a great book together.
Hello, book carriers. Welcome back for another episode. I'm Becca, and of course, I'm joined by the beautiful and wonderful Angela and Cassandra. Yay! We are so excited to be back with you guys for another episode, and we are finishing out Iron Flame today. Once again, our group chat has been somewhat popping off. We had to tell ourselves, wait, leave it for the podcast. Save it.
Yes.
Don't say anything. And so we're so excited because we have so many thoughts. So
yeah, yes.
How are we feeling, ladies?
Good. So much anticipation to hear y'all's thoughts. Because again, like a reminder to everybody and our listeners, this was a reread for me. So I knew the biggest plot twist and the biggest cliffhanger ever.
Seriously, how could you contain yourself, Angela? How could you just sit there?
I know. It was so hard. I'm like, they have no idea what's coming.
No, you just watched us prepare for absolute destruction. Honestly.
Yes. And so many different times as I was rereading it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this plot twist. I forgot about this. I forgot about that. And I remember this. I remember that. I was like, I cannot wait to hear y'all's thoughts. So I'm super excited. And it's finally here. I've been waiting for so long.
Oh my God. I can't.
Okay. So
I can't even form words.
we can start with this question maybe. What do we think about this cliffhanger ending versus Fourth Wing cliffhanger ending? Because
well, I think that's a great place to start.
Ending, yeah. I feel I don't know. I just when I finished the book, I just felt so I just felt sad. I just feel really sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have a general feeling of sadness. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Is that just me?
No, I felt the same. I think compared to the Fourth Wing, the Fourth Wing, I was like, heck yeah, Brennan's alive. Here comes the rebellion. Here we go. And this time I was like, oh no, why? Why would you do that to them? How in the world could you turn him into a monster, and I get very Anakin Skywalker, not Anakin, Anakin, right? Who turns into Darth Vader?
Yes.
Okay, I'm wait, am I having a stroke? Both of y'all looked like
I'm the wrong person to be asking about Star Wars.
So true.
Sorry.
No, you're right. It is Anakin. You're right.
Okay, yes. I'm getting Anakin vibes. Immediately. I was oh no, they're gonna make him have a villain arc. And it's just
oh my God.
And see, okay. I feel the reason I'm so sad, and maybe it's just me, I don't know. I felt I had so much Xaden hate the last episode and the last part that we were reading, so much Xaden hate that, he just surprised me with all of this new info. First of all, Violet and Xaden, and they're finally trying to make their meet each other halfway, come to common grounds. They finally get to that point, right? They're having that conversation, let's lay it all on the table. And she's kind of surprises him with the whole second signet thing. I mean, that was a big shocker moment.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that he was going to have a second signet? I did not know that.
Well, I had no idea.
Oh, Angela, obviously, but your first read, did you predict that maybe that would happen? I had no idea that he had a second.
I'm pretty sure it was a huge surprise the first read. But yes, I wanted to mention talking about a second signet, it's as a reread, you can pick up on all these moments where he mentions I just know his intentions, or I'm a good judge of character. I want to get to know this person. So it's every single time there was a new character introduced, and Xaden makes a point. He said it. He did it with Jasenia. Remember, he wanted to join Violet to go drop off the book or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he even makes a comment, and I pointed it out because it just sounded so arrogant. yeah, he was like, I'm an incredible judge of character. And Violet's like, oh, this arrogant.
Yes. He's like, no,
and
genuinely, like, I can't help it. I'm a good judge of character. Yeah.
yes, and he did it with Varys too. He was like, he even said the words like he intends to kill you or something like that. So it's like as a reread, it's like you pick up on all these little Easter eggs of like, oh, yeah, like this, he's had this for so long. And so it brings up, Cassandra, what you're talking about, like between Violet and Xaden, like there, for me, there was a little bit kind of starting this part, there was a little bit of Xaden hate still for me. I was still like unhappy with Xaden kind of at the beginning. Because I don't know if y'all remember, like they kind of argued a lot and they bickered. And Xaden was going off of like, why don't you just ask me about your mom? Like you're not asking the questions. And, and so I was still like, Xaden's being, I don't know, being.
Yeah. No, I totally felt the same way. I was still like kind of feeling the hate. That conversation in particular, I remember he was still bothering her about you're still afraid to ask me. You still won't ask me. But then, I mean, the fact that she was able to just hit him with that second signet question and it flustered him, that was so cool on Violet's part.
You're like, oh, that's so satisfying.
It was finally
shock him a little bit.
And it's like, it's what he needed because to me, I'm like, yes, it explains all of the Xaden hate. It explains to me like why he was so not wanting to be like give information too quickly to her because of this big secret he's had this whole time. It just makes a lot more sense. Like whenever he said, yes, I have the second signet of I'm an intrinsic or a type of intrinsic, you know, all of the glasses were shattering. I was like, oh, no wonder he's been so like, he doesn't want to, I don't know. He doesn't want to try to manipulate the situation in any way. Because she asked him, she was like, did you try to manipulate my emotions? He's like, no, I promise I didn't. But he did say it wasn't until after he saw what Dane had done.
And I don't know if he can really even like manipulate. I think he can just.
Well, he knows how she feels.
He knows how. Oh, you mean like once like he's showing an emotion, he can play off of it.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah. That totally gives him, he totally has a lot more power in that area, in that relationship aspect.
Yeah, you know? but he does say like he never used it against her in the sense of like manipulating her, because I think she asked him like, hey, did you ever use this to like influence my feelings? And or it was like her inner monologue, and then he like answers, but he answers and she's like, oh, I didn't realize like I said that out loud, which she's done before.
Yes. That's happened. It's like I've thought the whole time that it was like a mate bond that she just hadn't dialed into as much as he could. And that's what I've attributed like that mind reading type of, but that's what I thought that his second signet was a little thin in that like, oh, he can read intentions, but he can't read mind. Like it's a different type. It's a different whatever. And I don't know. And it's so like when he would answer her like in her thoughts, I'm like, but he can't read thoughts, you know, but he can see intentions. But it's like there's a little confusion there. I feel like she could have taken that aspect out of like him being able to pretty much read her mind. Like,
no, I get what you're saying. It was a little confusing. It's like, wait, I that was my inner monologue and you heard my inner monologue, but at the same time you're saying you technically can't read thoughts. It's just more of like intentions.
Yeah.
It's a little confusing.
Yeah. I feel like it was a little like she could have been a little bit more clear about exactly what it was. Or you know what, if you want it to be able to read her mind, then just make him a mind reader. You know, like why make it a little bit more confusing? Like why make it a little bit harder to understand?
That's why it makes it so much more complicated with them too, right? Because that is part of their bond, them being able to read each other's or hear each other's thoughts, right? They can
talk to each other.
Oh, okay.
It's not just like they can always hear each other's inner thoughts all the time. It's that like they have to send it down the bond or send it down like their whatever.
Their shields also have to be down too.
Right.
And he said even with her shield, so her shields can be up and he can't read her intentions still.
Correct.
Right. So that's, it's confusing. It's confusing, but that's what makes it so much more like so much more complex, because with her, he can see her intentions, he can feel her intentions, but he can also, he has that intuitive feeling of like their bond and her thoughts. So it's I don't know. I just, when I learned that, I got a perspective of like, that's why he was holding back so much. Because I feel like he felt like he kind of knew how she felt, but like he wanted her to be the one to actually say it, because it wasn't fair for him to know her intention without her being the one to say it. And I feel like maybe that's why I started to understand him a little bit more. That's why I felt a little sad that I was giving him so much hate.
Yeah. Nobody's going to feel worse about misjudging a character than I will this episode when it comes to the mom. So we'll get there, but like, don't be so hard on yourself, because I'm about to eat so much crow. And so it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. So before we move on, Cassandra, I get what you're saying. Like, it made you kind of feel bad for the Xaden hate, but I don't know. It didn't make me feel bad for the Xaden hate. I was still
like, I have no regrets.
I was still kind of vindicated, because even with this secret, I mean, I guess I get it a little bit, because even with the secret, it's like, oh, here's another secret that Xaden was not open with. It's like, and she even talks about it in her monologue. She's like, how much more can our love take? Like, how much more can I be pushed? Because here we go. Here's another, and this is a huge secret. And like, a part of her understands it, like why. But I really enjoyed the part of Xaden, yes, being shocked when she just asked him, like, well, what's your second signet? But also just the kind of the turmoil that he goes through when he's like, how long do you think it takes to fall out of love with somebody?
See, that's the sadness. That's where the sadness comes in. That broke me. That really broke my heart when he said that. And he said
less than a minute.
Less than a minute.
Whispers as Sail moves toward us. That's how long it took for you to fall out of love with me.
No, that broke my heart, y'all. That broke my heart. I was like, no, Xaden, no.
I was like highlighting it. I was like,
I know. Like, my poor little Xaden. I feel so bad.
Yeah. Now he's back to being her little Xaden. She feels bad.
Y'all. I mean, after this section, I'm back on the Xaden train.
He's back to being Zaddy.
He's pulled me back in. That did piss me off, though. Like the things he was saying, the little toxic things he was saying.
I was like, it's still a toxic relationship, because that's how they get you. They get you. There's like these sweet moments where like you feel for them and like you're sad.
Absolutely. And the fact that she brought it up. This was her, not me, but I also had this thought. Violet was thinking, she was like, oh, Gail is the only one that knows this secret, and now I'm the only other person that knows this secret. Like, he must love me.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't say that exactly, but like, come on, that's what she means.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was watching an interview with Rebecca Yarros, and she mentions, like, somebody asked her the question, like, how does it feel to write this age? Like, they're not teens, but they're not adults. They're this like 18 to 22, and Rebecca Yarros was like, I love that age because it's so messy. Like, you're old enough to make your own decisions. You're on your own. You're away from your parents, but you're not quite old enough to really be making good decisions yet. And so you're messy. You're a little bit toxic. You're a little bit, and like, she wrote Xaden from the point of view of like, this is what every girl wants when they're 18. Like, and so it kind of justified our thoughts. Like, he's not written to be perfect. Like, he is a little toxic, and it's because she's writing like for that age mindset. And I think back to like my relationships, and granted, I also dated my husband during that time, but our relationship back then versus now, I mean, it was a little toxic. Like, it's just, and of course, it's on a much grander scale. They're, saving the world, and we were, just drinking at parties, but it's still like, the idea is the same. Like, they're just, he is supposed to be a little toxic. And so it's fine that we felt that way.
Absolutely. So it's like, it just goes back to that. They're learning themselves, and that's big. Because they're getting they have these powers, and then they still don't know who they are yet. And then they love this other person. And it's like, well, hey, you gotta, they're learning how to trust. They're learning how to love. Because like Xaden said, he's like, he's never loved anybody before. And I totally see that. I love that.
The stakes are high. And yes, like I think he is supposed to be a little toxic, and that's awesome that you heard that interview, Becca. I think the other thing that stood out to me is like one of the reasons he kept this secret is one, he was afraid of losing Violet and like her falling out of love with him. But the other thing is also, which kind of surprised me, the other thing was that he was like, "Are you going to turn me in like for the crimes that I've committed against you?" And you know, if Violet decided to turn him in, like he would be dead, like they would kill him. And I don't know, it was just like surprising to me in the moment. I'm like, wow, like how would he even think like that it would be possible for her to turn him in? Like, how is that even a possibility with how much like their relationship has grown? But it goes back to like that fear of like, I've held on to this secret for forever because like if somebody finds out, I would be killed.
Yeah. But you know, we had this exact same conversation the last time they had this like sense of miscommunication. Like you like justified it the exact same way. And it's like that's so frustrating that we're back in the same position that we have to justify it in that same way. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But to me, it is like there were a few points again, and I said this last episode too, where it's like his lack of ability to be able to believe that she loves him is frustrating. Like, what do you mean? Like, she's not going to turn you in. First of all, if you die, she dies. Like, let's just like, you know, throw that out there. Like, second of all, like, it's like, what more do you like? Do you not see like the hunger that she has for you? Like, it's reciprocated, it's even, it's equal. And so it's just, I don't know, to me, it was very frustrating to read it over and over where I'm like, oh my gosh, like.
But I think we finally got a resolve. I think we finally, like they were finally able to work through it and resolve it because they both say, I think Violet is like, I need full disclosure. None of this, like ask me questions. Like you just need to be up front. And he's like, done, deal, got it. As long as it was really sweet too. As long as you just promise me like you'll keep coming back. Like no matter what I tell you or share with me, just please tell me you'll come back and we're going to work through it. We're going to fight through it. Just please. And then they both like agreed. And it was really sweet. It was really sweet.
Yeah, it is really sweet until the end. And then we're back to where there are more secrets.
No.
That we don't know.
Yes.
Like, I mean, now, everything's back.
I'm not ready.
Open.
I'm still loving Xaden. No, I'm still on the loving Xaden.
We're
train.
not ready for Xaden.
I'm not ready to hate Xaden yet. So like, okay, so then building up right to the big, you know, where they're finally coming to an understanding to their love and everything. Violet, she has this little angsty moment and it's so sad. She says, I'm not mad about the deal, okay? Because he's telling her, like, ask me about the deal that your mom made with me. Because that's the biggest thing that like is on her mind, and he knows it's on her mind. How could he not really, even without his signet, how could he not know that that's something that she's questioning or thinking about, right? And she comes out and she says, I'm not mad about the deal. How does he not understand? I'm pissed that you kept it from me, that you insist on making me ask for things you should openly share. How the hell am I in love with you when I feel like I barely know you sometimes? How can I be in love with you when I feel like I barely know you? And that is just such a sad, like, I don't know. I feel so bad for her because it's like, it's true. It's like, you know, she's learned all these big things are coming out about him. And
I did have a question about his second signet. You know, they mention when Violet starts to put the two and two together that he might have a second signet, because when they were in the cave or the ruin, and right before Andarna kills the other dragon, the bad dragon, Solus.
Was it Solus?
Yes.
Yes. So they're talking before the girl who gets mentioned and then dies, as they always do.
Viscia. Rest in peace, Viscia. I barely knew you.
I mean, I knew. I was like, okay, here's a new character that they're giving us a name. They're making her likable. She's about to die, which is fine. Like at this point, I'm desensitized to it. Just I knew it was coming. But you know, she's talking about how when, you know, dragons can't bond, if there's like, or if they do, then they can produce a second signet, or they go mad. And so I feel like that's a foreshadowing. And now knowing what we know at Xaden at the end, and like once you become like a, you know, I mean, it's like they feel and they drive on power. I just feel like that's a slippery slope. Like they didn't mention that they can go mad for no reason.
Yeah. Well, I think I read, and we can like double check and see what the quote actually says. But it said they either if a dragon bonds a direct descendant, they either produce a second signet or they go mad. And so that's what helped Violet put 2 and 2 together. She's like, wait, like you seem pretty sane to me, so that must mean that you developed a second signet.
So Sloane says, it was Sloane that said this. She said, second signets only happen when a dragon bonds rider in the direct familial line as its previous. Sloane says, misunderstanding Visia's question. But there's an equal chance of it causing madness.
Or, I guess if you read it.
So there's an equal chance of it causing madness. But I feel like that could mean that he could still.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I do. But I do remember Violet when she's like about to ask him, she's like, you seem pretty sane to me. Like you either produce a second signet or you go mad, and you seem pretty sane to me. So that must mean you have a second signet, like right when she's confronting him.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. I thought that's the impression that I got too. That she's like, well, you must have a second signet because you haven't gone crazy from not having one. So really, what is it? Spit it out. What is it? That was what I was thinking. Then, I mean, he does have that second signet, and unfortunately, certain things led to him going mad anyway.
Yeah, like I think that's separate. Like he's gonna be consumed by this power, and like maybe it's gonna happen anyways, and he's gonna, because it's like a third power, right? Like this whole becoming Venom, it's like
I think we're about to learn.
I mean, he's gonna want to like, because isn't that like what the Venom are, right? They think that it's not fair that you have to be a rider to be able to have power, right? So they draw it from the earth, from the whatever, and so it's like they sell a little bit of their soul to be able to have like some source of power. But I think that whole scene, like where Xaden kills the leader or whatever, it's like they're really gonna like not have us read that. Like next thing we know, he's just like, I killed him. And like there's part of it where it's like he was recurring it in a dream, but we still didn't really see how he killed him, and like how he ended up in the river or whatever. So I just feel like that's a whole like missing piece. Like, I don't know. And it's like, why does he want him in particular? I don't know. There are just so many questions.
Well, I was going to say, I think we can talk about it because it kind of fits with like the whole Xaden being secretive and like having all these secrets, because like it does bring up, like that one little comment of that he talks to like the General Melgren or whatever his name is. He's like, oh, they're not going to attack now. Like they're waiting. What are they waiting for? And he's like, me.
And it's like, how do you know that? That's where I was like, wait, same. I reread that. I was like, was he already Venom at this point? Like, does he know? Because he has some sort of connection to them.
Or like what?
Like
how
what?
Does he know?
How does he know that? You guys tell me. What is your thinking? Because my thinking is that by this time he had already turned. How does he know that? Or is it that he knows that they want him? Did he figure it out that they wanted him to turn Venom, and the sage actually wanted him? Because Violet this whole time thought it was her. She kept having these recurring dreams, thinking it was her that he was after.
Yeah, I mean, they kept telling her too.
I think I think they.
So he was after. Okay, but then why would Xaden say like, oh, he's after me? Like they're not coming in. Like, how does he know that?
My first thought, which I think is a little bit of an elementary way of like thinking of the writing possibilities, I'm sure there's something so much more complex than where my mind first went, but my thought was like they kind of want to like recruit him because he's as powerful as he is. And like he's the leader of like this revolution, this rebellion, this whatever, and they're like, and maybe he is already Venom, or I haven't really thought about that yet, Cassandra, but now that I'm thinking about that, like my theories are changing in the moment, because now I'm like, well, if he was already Venom and they wanted him to kind of like be their leader.
No, I don't think he was Venom already, because like in his POV, and he's like reliving the fight in his nightmare, he gets to a point of burnout. He's already so exhausted, and then but he feels himself like about to die or something, or Violet's about to die, and he's like, no, I have to, like, I need more power, and like he touches the ground and he feels that power, and I guess that's when he makes the decision to turn venom and like consume the power from the earth. So
my question is, did that happen? Because we read the scene and we don't know exactly when it happens. At least that's the part I was confused about. I was like, did this happen? Is this a memory that we're reading? Is this happening right now? Is this, and by memory I mean, like, are we reading it because it happened like a little bit earlier and now it's being revealed? I don't know. I was a little confused.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he was like, he's been venom this whole time. He's been a venom. Like, I'm thinking like just at that point he had already turned, but I don't know. I think I was just kind of confused because at the end you get more perspective and you're like, oh, like that's why he was being all weird with Violet towards, like, in that little exchange there at the end. And she's like, oh my gosh, she has the realization. But like, had he already changed?
Yeah. Well, I thought it was odd that they didn't have us read the scene of Xaden, like, actually defeating him, killing him. And then when we did get the scene, it was from a memory or a dream that Xaden was having, like recurring it. And it was just like that next day, from what I understand. Like, it was like they defeated him or whatever. And like, it was that night that he was having that dream or that whatever. Because like, then he gets up and he goes and sees Jack.
Yeah.
Freaking Jack. I'm like, why won't you just die? Like, why, even after all this, you're still here? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And so so I feel like it was like, yes, he had already turned venom when he was having that memory of turning venom.
Right.
But I just feel like it's odd that we didn't get to see it. And like, I feel like that's going to unfold in the next book and we're going to get a lot of answers from that. Because he obviously knows the sage. I mean, he knows that he was after him. How does he know that? Why does he know that? And again, more secrets. Like,
yes, more secrets. I'm back on the Xaden hate train.
No,
why were you open about this if you knew, they were coming?
But I, like, my first thought, literally, which is a very, like I said, it's like an elementary way of like, I think that Rebecca Yarros would have something deeper than this, but like, they've been like trying to recruit him in some way. Like, they know he's powerful, they know he's whatever, and like, they want to, I don't know, they want him to be their king or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's interesting because like this whole time you're reading it and you're seeing that Violet's having these crazy dreams, but you don't know that Xaden's also having the crazy dreams. Am I right? And so that's just like, I had no idea. Like, this whole time I was like, Violet's in danger, Violet's in danger. I didn't even think about Xaden. My baby Xaden. Oh, I feel so bad for him. I was so worried about protecting her this whole time. I didn't think about
protecting him.
But I guess it kind of tracks. Like, if the venom, because don't they talk about like the venom just want power?
They just want power.
They want to get powerful, and like it would make sense. Like, they would if they're after Violet because she's so powerful. Like, Xaden is just as powerful. So I don't know. I like that theory, Becca. Even though it feels elementary, but it makes sense to me.
Or they really want Violet, and they know that
if they get Xaden,
they like tried to get Xaden before or something, because they know that would be the only thing that would get her to agree to come on their side, or whatever, because they keep mentioning like, you're the one that he wants to Violet. So when Xaden mentioned that, so I'm like, but so then it's like, okay, well, what history do you have with them that that they want you? Like, that's what we don't know yet. And so
yes, as I was rereading some of my notes today, like, there was a nightmare that Violet had, and the sage was talking to her of like, I know what you're going to turn to. Like, most people turn for power, but not you, because you're going to turn for love.
For love.
Like, the both of you will. It was in her nightmare that the sage said that. So yeah, maybe they did want Xaden to get Violet. And maybe, oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, that's what makes the most sense. But again, I think that there's maybe something more complicated. Like, I mean, obviously one of the main things that I wrote, and I'm sure y'all caught it too, is like the mention briefly of Xaden's mom. She had this contract, right? That she had to be with him for the first 10 years, and she left. And that was it. And then they didn't discuss it any further than that. But I'm like, well, obviously that's going to play a part in something.
Sure.
I don't know what, I don't know why, but I'm like, was his mom the Venom.
I
And
did,
so
yeah.
he is like, because obviously they can coexist, right?
Yeah.
And their wards were different. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they could coexist. And that was why the contract was. And then maybe Xaden is like half.
Venom. Oh my God.
And he's like the rightful heir. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's like, I'm like, where else could the mom be? You know what I mean? That's like an important realm of where they are.
Yeah, it just leads me to believe that if we don't know where she is, she's probably off doing something not so good.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I think like maybe they had some sort of like contractual agreement, like we're gonna produce this heir and at some point he has to like join us at some age, at some whatever. And then he, you know, so like that's why he knows that they want him because he knows his mom is on that side.
Oh my God.
No, Becca, no, I did not. Okay, well, I wasn't putting it that far. I wasn't going that far.
I literally just thought of that. So I can't say that I was like that smart while I was
Like,
reading it.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, that's just put it in stone. That's my theory. But I've been wrong, obviously.
Yeah.
So who the heck knows?
Well, because it's like, yeah, what's the contract for?
Yeah.
Why do they have to make a contract?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did the guy?
And why was
did
she
her
so quick to leave?
Yeah, exactly. Why was her dad? If he was like this, like ruler of Tyrandor or whatever, I hope that's what he was. Is the ruler of Tyrandor. If he was that like this revered person, right? Why did his wife not love him to stay with him? Why did his wife literally just be with him just to produce an heir? Why? You know, there has to be a reason.
And the flaws in that is that, like, I mean, what was it that caused the rebellion when his dad was ruler? What were they rebelling against?
The fact that people were dying outside of the wards, right? Outside of the
against Venom, or just in general? I'm just, because like my thought is that like if this was the reason for the rebellion before, then maybe the mom and the dad came together and had a contract because like they kind of like called a peace between the Venom and them to like, and then it was like it has to be for at least 10 years or 10 whatever, however, till Xaden turned a certain age. And then it was like, all right, all bets are off, and she went back. I don't know. I feel like there's something going on with the mom. She's playing some part somewhere, doing something naughty.
Trying to get Xaden on their side. Man, that is such a good theory. I really like that theory.
Yes. Are we talking theories? Can we
yeah.
Can I put this out there? Hey, where was no, it's just a question. I don't know if it's a theory, but where was did anybody notice where Ados was this whole time? Dane's dad? Did he ever?
Oh, he got sent off.
Was he? So he was sent off. Because you know that this is it's kind of going with what you're saying, Becca. It's like, you know, there has to be more. There has to be a reason. They're not like, yes, they want power, but there's got to be more. There's got to be a reason. Why are they trying to get Xaden? Why are they trying to get Violet?
I just had a thought that they said, because I think Violet at one point thought the sage was like the main guy, but I think there was a comment of like, no, there's somebody above the sage. So it's like we haven't even met like the main person. And maybe it's Xaden's mom. Oh my gosh, can you imagine?
I have a second theory to that.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Because my thought was it's just Ados, because they said he's waiting for you. He wants you. And I'm like,
I feel like Ados was genuinely just trying to not have to fight the Venom.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like he was using, like, he was evil in that he didn't want to help helpless people. And I think that was the only thing that makes me think differently about that is that Dane mentioned that he knew where the wards were because his dad took him there.
Yeah.
And that made me think like, okay, so
why would he say that? Why would
he knew maybe where to tell Jack to go to do what he needed to do. You know, that's what made me think that maybe Dane's dad is in on it with the Venom.
I think he's totally in on it just because I was like, he's nowhere to be seen. He's not fighting. He's not here.
Yeah.
Where
I just
is
feel like
he?
he would be such an obvious choice because he's really like the only face of a villain that we have left that hasn't been around.
Yeah.
So that's like, to me, I feel like he would be the obvious choice. I don't know if he's with them or he's just selfish and an asshole. I don't know. But my second theory is gonna make me sound a little crazy, maybe. Because and Rebecca Yarros said this in an interview. She said that she doesn't like to bring people back from the dead. She's like, she grew up in like a army family. She grew up in a whatever. She's like, I think that like death is just like Rebecca Yarros says this like from her point of view. She's like, death is just a part of life. And I'm like, man, that makes so much sense why you write the way that you do. And she says that she's gotten so much criticism because in all of her books, across all of her work, she does kill off people. And that's just part of like the emotional writing that she does. But she put on there that she doesn't like to bring people back from the dead. She thinks that it takes away from like once they're gone, they're gone. Mm-hmm. So the fact that Brennan he didn't get him back from the dead, but he actually wasn't dead, makes me think that maybe my theory I'm about to say has no merit to it. So I have two theories.
I'm listening.
So my first, okay, so I love to read like the passage before the chapter, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there's one that says, most generals dream of dying in service to their kingdom, but you know me better than that, my love. When I fall, it will be for one reason only, to protect our children. And this was from Lilith Sorengale. So this was from the mom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, who is she writing that to? She said, comma, my love. She's writing that to
her dad, right?
Her dad.
Yeah.
The next one says, we have tried every method we know of, as you requested. There is no cure. There is only control. This is a missive from Lieutenant Nolan to General Lilith Sorengale. Violet's mom has been looking for a cure for somebody turning venom for a long time. And I'm wondering if her dad is venom, or if when her mom was pregnant, she has the streak in her hair and she channeled power from the earth. Violet is part venom. And that's why the venom want her. That's why she's as powerful as she is. And that's why they want Xaden, because Xaden is part venom.
Oh, whoa.
Y'all are both like, is that totally like off base?
No, I don't think so at all. Yeah, because when I read that part, I missed it. I missed that part with where it was like from Nolan to Lilith.
Mm-hmm.
I read it, and when I read it, I thought they were talking about Jack. That's what I thought. But why would they be talking about Jack to Lilith?
Yeah.
That's
it was very like, as requested. Like, I've done this research and there is no cure.
So mom's been looking for a cure for somebody. And who does she care about? Who does she love? I mean, it's
her children and her dad.
What if like when Brennan died and he was like heartbroken or whatever, like he wanted to seek some sort of power to like get him back or something? Like, what if like that's what kind of drove him to that? Because like they would have known, like their father, before he died, they would have known that he was venom, right? Like, wouldn't they have? Unless, I mean, I guess because they didn't know that Jack was.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's some way that they're able to conceal it.
Yeah, these are some good theories. Like, I did not even go this far into it.
It's like all that I thought of whenever I was reading it was like theories, because I have more questions about theories and like things that I think, because main one, of course, Andarna. Can we talk about her?
Yes.
The whole thing that is her, and what second signet Violet will wield from Andarna, now that we know who she is and what she is.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, so do y'all think that it's a certain thing, like it's a for sure thing that Violet's gonna have a second signet?
With this new information, I kind of think so, because she's a dragon. She's just a different breed. So she should, right?
Yes, and Rebecca Yarros said in an interview, she was like, y'all are gonna be underwhelmed by her second signet.
So we know she's getting a second.
Yeah, so she is gonna get one.
I was hoping, man.
And she said, she was like, I felt like I gave it away with one line. So then I'm like, well, shoot. I mean, this is like, I just saw this interview earlier today. So I was like, well, what was she talking about? But then I thought back to when Xaden and Violet are talking about his second signet, and she's kind of trying to guess. So she's like, well, you need to be where you need to be, or you always seem to show up, Yosem, whatever. And he mentions there hasn't been a distance wielder in centuries. And don't you think if I was one, I would have been in your bed every night? So it was like casually mentioned. There hasn't been one in centuries. And I think about her like running from like when she ran to get to the wards to try to get them up whenever she needed to. And she like,
yeah, one of them was like, I didn't know you were that fast. This one,
yeah. And like her like training to run and having like the urge to learn to run and this and that. And like maybe it was like kind of starting to manifest a little bit. And so it's like, and that to me would be underwhelming. Like, but I know what I mean.
So no, that would be cool if there hasn't been one in years.
Right. And so I mean, I'm sure that there comes like a lot comes with that we just don't know about because it was so casually mentioned and we don't know anything about the signet. So maybe like once we learn more about it, it'll be cooler. But like when you think about like what all there could be, like reading minds, or like I know like Andarna obviously can like blend in, like she's like camouflage, right? So I thought maybe she'll be able to be like invisible or something like that is kind of what I was thinking. But then whenever I saw like that it was going to be underwhelming and that she gave it away with one line, I was like, that's one of my like critiques, but also one of the things I love the most about her writing is that if you read something that's a little bit out of character, a little bit like you feel like it's extra information or fluff, it never is. Like there's a reason why like Jack like pushing his power into her whenever they were on the map.
Yeah.
Okay, well that ended up coming back and being an important detail. So I feel like every little like thing that you think is just a fluff is not. And so that's why it makes me think like, okay, there hasn't been a distance wielder in centuries. Obviously, like Andarna waited in her little egg for centuries to come and, be with Violet or be there for Violet. And so it's like, I feel like that just makes so much sense.
Yeah, I like it because kind of thinking about signets in general, I think Violet even explains it more like when she's trying to guess Xaden's second signet. It's like signets are based on like who the person is, like their character and what they need.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that extra information. So it's like maybe she needs like, that distance, like to that distance. Or
she needs to be able to have the strength to get places fast, or she, I don't know what she's going to need it for. I'm sure that we'll find out. But that's my theory.
She said, okay, did you hear what she said to Xaden though? Because like if we're saying she gave it away with a line and it's based off of need, do y'all remember when she said, I don't know if I highlighted it, but I was like, of course, that makes sense. She says, I need information to feel secure. And that's her as a scribe.
Oh, see, that's where my mind was going. And that's why I was so surprised with the lightning in general, because I was like, she's such a scribe. That's part of who she is. So I thought it was going to be something with mind work that was going to be her signet. So yeah, maybe her second signet will be something mind. I think it could go either way.
I've thought that, and I've thought mind reader, because they've mentioned so many times about, and I know, and I kind of thought, well, maybe they did this for the sake of leading up to Xaden's second signet. But I'm like, they've mentioned so many times about how they just kill them as soon as they know they can read minds. So it's like, who else is going to produce that signet that it's going to be, that they're going to have to combat, try not to get killed. And I know that Xaden kind of feels that right now.
Yeah.
But maybe it's, foreshadowing to Violet having that power too. I don't know. Maybe she's going to have 17 signets. I mean, you never, I mean, at this point, I mean, the girl's, unstoppable. So who the heck knows?
Yeah. And I remember that tidbit too from I think it was the first book where the one kid just straight up died. They killed him for his intrinsic abilities. And I remember being like, why? That's so strange that they just like, it was so fast too. He started freaking out and instantly he goes over and snaps his neck. And I'm kind of glad that she put that in there so that I had a perspective for Xaden, like, and why it was such a big deal. And now it makes sense why she put that in there. And why I was so confused. Like, I like that she added that in there. Cause I was like, I don't get it. Okay. Yes, they have too much information, too much power, But I still don't get why just like at the drop of the hat, you have that, okay, we're gonna kill you. Like, I don't know. There's got to be some sort of like, if you really think it's like an illness or like, oh, you're a threat, there's got to be some way to like rehabilitate them or like make sure that they're, I don't know.
They don't even want chances.
No.
And then in a padded cell or do something.
Right. And I think Violet, where she realizes it when they're at the meeting with the Navarian officers, generals, the mom, everybody. And then Violet asks Xaden to like, hey, can you check their intentions? And then he does it so well with that one person and knows so much about that person. It's like, oh yeah, she's super scared. She was willing to do anything to get us to agree. And she's hungry and she wants to fight with your mom. It's like, whoa, like
I know
there's so much that he can pick up on. It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is straight up scary power. Just why the villain want him.
Yes.
Be their king.
And so you brought up Andarna, Becca. I did want to say, I remember we talked about how like it feels like for some reason they've all been waiting for Violet, and it still feels that way. Now we're learning that they were also waiting for Xaden too. But Andarna kind of says it, and I was like kind of shocked. She says like, you know, I waited 600 years for you so that I could finally hatch. Like I had a feeling they were waiting for her and they knew that she was going to be powerful, but I just didn't know that like, because like that's what it seemed like, but I didn't know that we were going to get clarification. And then also how do the dragons like just know, like, let me just wait and let me sit in my little egg and let me wait. Because you, and here's the other thing. She pointed out that I chose you. I don't know if I said this, but she says, I chose you because you have the mind of a scribe, but the heart of a writer, or vice versa. Right. And that's, I don't know, that's big.
Yeah. I mean, they say they're like, something killed the venom 600 years ago. And she said, I've been waiting to hatch for 650 years. So either she's the weapon, Andarna is, or Violet is the weapon. But something killed them 600 years ago, and now she's here 600 years later, ready to go. It's like, okay, what was, you know, the reasoning?
Yeah. How did they know? How did they know that Violet would be the key? Her mom also seemed like she knew that she would be the key.
Justice for the mom. Sorry to all that had faith in the mom. And I just, her death was heroic. I ended up really liking her as a character. It's fine. I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. I was wrong.
Yeah. No, I was there too, because I told you, like I also felt that hatred for her, the anger for her. You know, I was like, oh wait, okay, she's finally showing her true colors. She does kind of care. But man, I mean, this whole part, like all the new info we got about her, the showing her motherly side, I really like, I cried a little bit. I did, because there's something so real about that, about like oh my gosh, so many times she just had some good moments where she was like, you know, like, yes, what I did wasn't, you know, always right, but I'm not gonna apologize for it. She's like, I'll live with the disappointment that you have in me.
Right. Yes, that quote.
For saving you.
Yes, what was it? I want to find it.
Yes!
Like, I love you even with the weight of your disappointment, or something like that.
Yes.
Oh
yes. I was like, so she said that even before her death scene, right? And I was already like, oh man, she's making me kind of sad.
Yeah, whenever they first see her and she gives them the journal, or she gives Violet the journal, it's like, up to you. Like you have to survive, like for each other, for my children. And so yeah, like you get this image, or you find out, or you, I guess, come to know more that mom, like she's a right? She's a ride or die for her kids. Like she
is
like literally
yes,
ride or die for her kids.
Yes.
And what I love is that, like, Rebecca Yarros, what I love is that, okay, so you see that, right? You have this mom character just like momming so hard, right? And then you have the 3 kids and all of their unique reactions and feelings towards how she mothered them, how she chose to mother them, right? Brennan straight up, he says no, like I won't forgive you for all of that. And of course he has a change of heart. But yeah, it's like he has that anger that I feel like, Becca, you were kind of feeling the last episode, like I won't forgive her for all that. Like she put their kids, she put them in danger. And then we have Mira, who's also kind of on the fence. She's a little mad at some points. I remember she's like, yeah, you just like, you chose to keep us safe, but said F everybody else. Like, so she's still kind of feeling mad at her mom. And I know she understands. And then Violet's definitely like the in-between, like, guys, it's okay. You know, she has more of that empathy towards her. She's like, no, she's my mom. Like, she's our mom. Like at the end of the day, it's because she loves us. Right. And so I don't know. I really liked that we had the different perspectives, and really
it made me sad. It was just a classic case of like too little, too late. You know, it's like, man, I wish they could have seen how hard you fought for them this whole time and didn't wait like to die a martyr, you know? And then they're all like, of course, distraught now that she's dead. And it's like, I wish that they would have gotten to enjoy just their mom being a mom, you know, but that wasn't who she was. And so I don't think they would have ever gotten that. But yeah, no, I agree, Cassandra. It was interesting to see the different dynamics and their different personalities and their different sibling dynamics and how they handled all of the interactions with their mom. When mom, of course, saw Brennan for the first time, and she was like in complete shock. And, you know, kind of, because I kind of had this theory that maybe she knew Brennan was alive, you know.
Yeah, I thought so too.
And, you know, it just like goes to show that she really, I think, has been in the dark on everything, and she just does what she can to protect her family and do her job that she was like hired to do. And she's not like in the know of really, I think, a lot until, you know, it was too late.
Yes, well, okay, so then there was that whole part of, do you guys remember when she was talking to them and she's like, no, your wards are going to fail, like open up the wyvern and you'll see the stones. What did you guys think of that part? Because I was like, I know the mom, you know, maybe she wants to get her job done, but to a certain degree she knows more. She does know more. And she doesn't tell the kids. And I'm just like, what did that part mean, that where they had the stones in them and your wards are going to fail? Do you guys know?
No, I mean, I think it does show that mom had a lot more knowledge, like, about the venom, and maybe it goes back to like the theory, like she knows how they work and she knows how they operate. But I think the last thing about the mom is like, yeah, that whole scene towards the end, and mom is like just getting Sloane and like saying like, just do it. Oh my gosh. And then the mom was like, you know, I killed your mom. I executed them and I made you watch them. Like, she was so, I guess, manipulative in that sense, like for her to be a martyr. But it was just so heart-wrenching, and like everybody's screaming, and like Violet's like half unconscious, and it's like everybody's yelling and like, mom, and oh my gosh, it was
that scene was brilliant. It was written brilliantly. It took me a couple reads to figure out what in the world was going on, because it was so choppy and like, well, who's talking to who and who, whatever. But once you read it and realize like, wait, I'm hearing it just from like Violet's going in and out like of consciousness, or like being able to hear a muffled whatever. And then I went back and read it from like with that mindset, and I was like, you really feel like you're in like that traumatic situation with her. And that's so genuine of how like you're not getting all the information, because there's so much happening, and two, you're in excruciating pain and going in and out. And it was just like, man, that was written so well.
And the fact that like Brennan and Violet were there, they experienced it and they saw her die, but Mira didn't, right? Didn't she come in after the fact? And it was so,
yeah, because she was like, what did you do?
That I think that's the part where I was like, I was already kind of tearing up, but then Mira comes in and sees the end result, and she's like, what did you do? That, like, I was already like, then the tears started really flowing, because it was like, oh no.
Yeah, and it's hard like to recover. And even though their relationship was strained, you know, it's like, I mean, just from personal experience, like I've been in the room when both of my parents passed, and it is something, and it was of course not in a battle scene, and so, but it is traumatic and it is awful, and it's that's why whenever I was reading that scene, I was like, man, this is so real. Like you're hearing, from my point of view, like you're hearing doctors, you're hearing this, you're hearing whatever. And it's like, it's choppy because you can't focus on anything that's happening around you. And it was just like, man, this is so relatable. And now Violet's in kind of that same boat where she's like, now, both of her parents are gone. And I don't know if she ever mentioned if she witnessed her dad pass, which I guess would be a key component on if he's Venom or not. But witnessing a parent pass is just, man.
Dramatic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I hope that they don't lean into that too much because the next books, I don't know, I won't be able to read.
Yeah.
But it's a lot. Mm-hmm. And it was just written so well. And yeah, Cassandra, I teared up, and that's coming from somebody who absolutely hated that character. But it took about 3 chapters for me to go from hating her to loving her,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Rebecca Yarros, she's an excellent writer. This is definitely her talent, and to make you feel all of the emotion. Because I think I was, this whole battle scene, like from start to finish, like it's a couple chapters, right? It's a long time. And it was so hard reading it too, in the sense that I just wanted to sit down and like absorb it and just like keep reading it for like hours. But obviously I can't, because, life and little, my own little one. And so it was really hard in that sense. But just every time I would pick it up and read a little bit here, a little bit there, like the emotions would pick up right where I left off. And it was like such a high in a good way from like start to finish.
Yeah, no, she's phenomenal. She does such a good job with that. And I think we've mentioned this in previous episodes too, where it's like sometimes those scenes can feel a little like info dump, right? Like it's a little bit too detailed. It's a little bit too whatever. It's not detailed enough. You can't really visualize but Rebecca Yarros does such a phenomenal job where it's engaging enough. There's enough happening between just dialogue versus action versus inner monologue, and it's able to keep you entertained. But not every writer can do that.
Yeah. That fight scene, that battle, it was several chapters long. One of the big moments was the dragon jumping, where they jumped off their dragons multiple times.
Yes.
That was crazy. Like, so Ree started doing that, and then because I remember Violet, they put it in italics, like she just straight up jumped off of her dragon. She actually jumped. And so Violet, I remember she's like, wait.
Oh.
What?
When she mentions that she does that like rolling or the
rolling dismount.
The rolling dismount, and she mentioned like she could never do that. And Taryn was like, yeah, we're never doing that. Like we're never even gonna try. But she was able to do it.
Yeah.
This distance wielder thing is making more and more sense in my head.
Oh, okay.
I didn't put that together until you just said that. So
yeah. Yeah. So like Ree's doing it, she's jumping, and then so she sees Ree, she's freaked out from her, and then she's like, okay. I don't know. She just instinctively just started doing it. And Taryn was like, why did you do that? Like, you just expect me to catch you. And she's like, well, you did, didn't you? I don't remember exactly, but I loved that little interaction between them. Like, okay, because there's so much chaos, there's so much going on, like Sawyer's over here getting his leg chopped off. My gosh,
poor Sawyer. I was like, this is it. Like I told y'all, Sawyer's gonna be the one to die. I mean,
I know. I couldn't. Yeah, I was like, I couldn't stop thinking about you talking about Sawyer dying. I was like, no. I was like, I don't think he'll die yet. His leg. It's just his leg, but still.
Yeah.
And then they brought it up about the graduation comment. We're supposed to graduate. So again, someone's gonna die. I don't know who it is.
Someone's gonna die. I really, now that Sawyer almost died, and they're not gonna kill off Ree, I'm like, they better not kill off Riddick. But Rebecca Yarros did say that Riddick was her favorite character to write, and I was like, man, that is making me very nervous. But she did say that when she started to write Liam, she knew the moment, like she knew his whole character, he was set up to die. Like, he was written to die. Like she knew that when she first started to write him and develop him as character. So I'm like, you just set me up to love him for nothing. Like for nothing.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we said when we were talking about Liam. It's like he was too perfect. Like,
Yeah.
it's nothing. Yeah.
He was written to die, and Jack just won't die.
Why won't he die? Why won't he die? I swear, I was like,
Even after all this, he's still alive. Why?
I had a feeling and I had a question. I had to go back and look, but I thought maybe he died in that one scene where he broke the ward or whatever.
I thought so too. I
thought
he
he
died.
Yeah. And it wasn't until the very end that I was like, oh no, he's not. He's alive. He's very much alive and well. How he manages it, I don't know. And so, okay,
and the
so
last
Jack,
line was so gross.
Right?
What does he say?
Something about their family, their brothers.
We're brothers.
Yes, we're brothers. He's like, he said, "Welcome to our fucked up family. Guess we're brothers now."
Oh my god.
No, absolutely not.
But Jack has been Venom the whole time.
Not the whole time though.
Yeah, because I mean, he in the first book when he first starts to like spar with Violet, he takes some of her power, and she thought that was a signet, but it's not a signet.
Right.
It's the Venom.
But it was after threshing, like after.
Oh yes.
After he saw that she bonded, then he was like, that's it.
You're right. You're right.
Straw.
Last straw, I sell my soul to the devil.
Yes, because and that's I thought it was so interesting. Finally, we understand why. Like we get a reasoning as to why. But I remember we were like, when we read the first book, we were like, why is he so freaking determined to kill her? Why? But it makes so much more sense now. Of course, he has that anger of like the inferiority to the dragons.
Mm-hmm.
But I still, man, he's just like,
yeah,
just go away.
Relax.
I was just gonna say that whole part with like Jack killing his own dragon.
No,
I was like,
that felt evil. I was like, you don't do that.
No.
Yeah.
And Zayden was like, you got seconds, bro. You got seconds before you're dead. And he's like, no.
But isn't it once the dragon dies, the rider dies?
Typically.
Right?
Yeah.
Typically.
And so, but then they gave him like some sort of something to keep him alive.
Well, because he's Venom. Because his power
so
is
Zayden
no
won't be Zayden won't be mated to Sigale anymore.
I think that's what we're gonna see is like the difference. Right, because since he chose his power for love, maybe
but
not
Jack
that they're not mated.
But Jack was still mated enough to his dragon to be able to fly and do everything, right?
Yeah, but
I guess just the rules of survival. So will Zayden's life still be tied to Violet's?
Good question.
I guess not as much. Because the way I understand it is like their life force. Like their life force they get from their dragon.
Mm-hmm.
If their dragon dies, then they die. But now since his life force or power is coming from the earth or whatever he consumes, like that's like his tether to life. So even if his dragon died, he's still alive because he has that tether. That's how
it's that. Yeah, no, it's that. And that's just what he wanted the whole time. He just never, he was like, why do we put these dragons on these like pedestals? Like, and they think they're more powerful than us. Like, screw that. Nah. And it's like, it makes sense. It offers, that was totally. And he's like, no, I'm not going to accept that. I'm not inferior to this like beast.
Right.
And I do like that. I do like that we get that, the opposite viewpoint on that, because it's like, well, what makes it so that like the dragons are, yes, obviously they're like big and huge and scary and they can kill you, but there is a huge like respect that the people have towards them and the rules and everything like that. So, and he's like, well, I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. And it's just like, he's Violet's person that's questioning it, but I know that they've questioned it before in the past. That's why this issue's been here. I don't know. It's crazy. It's complex.
It is complex.
I still don't like him, but like, yeah, it's interesting.
And we're still gonna see more of Jack. Like, come on.
Oh, why? Okay.
I literally am like, why are you still here? And I know like there has to be a reason. Like he's gonna have, and I do imagine that we're gonna get quite a bit of information from him as far as the Venom and how can he survive within the wards and be Venom.
Yes. Oh, and that's scary because he said that too, right? He said that like, there's more here than you know of. They've already been here within the wards.
Right.
So
So
like,
it's like who else has been in?
Yeah.
I feel like there are a few people like Bodhi and like a few characters that like are important but not important enough. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like that's gonna be where we're gonna find some people. The one where they're talking about the translation on how to raise the wards. And a few times they say something a little different, but the one whenever they finally get the translation correct, and she says, the breath of life of the sixth and the one combine and set the stone ablaze in an iron flame. So I feel like Andarna is like, that's why she can kind of camouflage. That's why she has all the different like color scales or whatever. Like she's like a combination of all the 6 dragon breeds. And like that's what, and I'm like, that's what she mentioned, like having her own den, having her whatever. I feel like she's gonna be like the ruler of like the Empyrean. I feel like it's ironic that that's the whole name of the series, but we've never met any of the dragons in the Empyrean. We've never been to the Empyrean. We just rely on information from Taryn as far as what's going on and what they're discussing, but that's the whole name of the series. So it's like, I feel like Andarna and who she is going to be what really like brings us to that world, and I feel like she's going to be like queen or leader or something.
And Darna is so cute though.
I love her
when
so
she's
much.
like, when Violet's like putting this all together, and then something, I don't forget what exactly, but Violet's like, oh, and you just chose to like appear black. And he's like, yeah, because I basically look up to Taryn and like I want to be like him.
So
cute. So cute.
Oh my gosh. And the fact that like Taryn doesn't really know about Andarna, and nobody knows about Andarna. And to me, I was like, I thought Taryn knew, because I was like, why is he protecting her so much? I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe he knows a little bit more, because like he is so protective of her. And where does that protectiveness come from?
Right. I mean, the Empyrean, like, that's what Andarna says too when she's talking about like wanting to be black. Like Taryn, she was like, the Empyrean like respects him so much, and they look up to him so much, they adore him. And so it's like, if they were gonna trust one dragon with like the protection of this super important, like somebody has to raise her, like, so I feel like there's no way he doesn't know more. It's just one more thing that Violet's going to find out that she's been deceived about. Just add it to the list.
Oh my gosh, that part where Taryn finds out about the second signet and he is so hurt with Sigale.
That was a really sad part of it. Yes.
And she just held up her head like, yes, I did it, and I will not apologize for it. What do you want?
When they were like in formation and she like purposely didn't stand next to him, I was like,
oh, they're fighting. Yeah.
Mommy and Daddy are fighting for sure.
So many good moments.
I do want to mention, I do think we need to talk about what did you guys think of Kat and all the flyers and coming together? I thought that camaraderie that they had, oh my gosh, it was just so legit. I was here for it. I don't know, what did she say? She's like, she was gonna watch after Sawyer, and she was like, I'm about to watch after Sawyer, don't worry, it's fine, and don't thank me for that. Like, she just kept telling her, like, don't thank me for just I don't know, being part of the squad. I just loved that. I loved that. And then I also loved that right before they were about to go to battle, she said their full like squad section name. Do you guys remember that?
Yes. So she's like, we will stick together.
Yes.
Yes.
Like we travel as a squad. We work as a squad. So you can join our squad.
Yes. Yes. Because they didn't like try to say like Violet will be with me, and she was like, nope.
Like, we're all a part of this. Is what it is. It's second squad, flame section, fourth wing. Every time she said it, I was like, oh, chills.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. They're like, their maid family trope, like, is just, it's top tier.
Yeah,
for sure.
I love it. And I love that like Kat is now part of that too.
Yes.
And all of them, like, they're like, no, like, let us fight with you. We don't want to just stay here. Like, we can do this. We can help.
Yes.
I really liked that.
I was just gonna say the last thing about Kat is like the times where Violet like tells her to go, like get away, and like Kat's like so I guess, loyal in those moments and like comes back for Violet.
Yes.
When with the dragon in the cave, and then with the Venom, she like manipulated that Venom too, to be like so greedy and yeah. So it's like, yeah, she's coming in clutch.
Yes, yeah. And Violet's like, go, and she's like, shut up. Like she just was like she has like she's like, I don't like you, but I kind of love you. So like just let me love you.
I love it.
Yes. And you saw that loyalty whenever they were just the flyers, like her unit in the flyer realm. Like she was so loyal. And so it was like once they did force them, she's like, all right, like now my loyalty applies to everybody in this squad. And so yeah, it's again, that maid family is just I don't know if I've ever seen it written better.
Yeah, absolutely. And then okay, so like Violet, okay, so in the end, right, when they're saying like it's either mom's life or your life, right? And all of them are like, no, like we want to save you. I think it was
Eric.
Mm-hmm. Was it Kat there or was it Sloan? I think it was Sloan. Sloan was like, yeah, I gotta do it. Like she was sitting there trying to put all her power into it, and she was like, no, this is the best choice we have. It's her life or yours, and we love you so much. Like we're not, and Darna too. And Darna was like, no, like you need to live. If you're not alive, like I'm not. Like, and I just thought that was so precious. Like that moment of like, you know, Violet is always there for everybody and always like wants to do the right thing for everybody and
willing to sacrifice herself.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So sweet of a moment to see that kind of reciprocated, that love reciprocated. It was special.
Yes. And Taryn even too, I think at one point he was like,
oh my gosh,
if you die, like I will die. Like I will follow suit. Like I will die if you die. Like you need to stop. You're gonna burn out or you're gonna, you know, and so yeah.
I will follow.
He said, I will not have another writer. He was like, I won't have another writer. You're it.
He's like, I chose you as something, and because you're my last too.
Yes,
I will follow.
Yes. No.
Yep. I was like, man, just rip me to shreds. Yeah.
Taryn, I love Taryn so much. Rebecca Yarros, you better leave Taryn alone. He's so precious.
I think if Taryn dies, I don't think anybody that reads the books will recover. Like I think that
I will lose it. Please,
I will. It would be hard to come back from.
I've had that thought. I'm like, they're gonna kill Taryn because she doesn't need two dragons.
I thought the same thing, and like they keep putting pressure on the fact that like Darna can't bear a rider, but I'm like, but if Taryn isn't there, then like she has to. So yeah, I refuse to like let myself go down that rabbit hole.
I won't be ready for that. Nope.
Oh, but then I had a question. I was like, if one dragon dies in the mating bond, does the other dragon die? Because then it wouldn't make sense because they wouldn't kill up Xaden unless she's just gonna kill everybody off. Oh my gosh.
No. Well, and also if Taryn dies, then Violet dies.
Well, no, because Andarna, like maybe Andarna will keep her alive because she has that connection.
She has the power.
Or if she's half Venom. Or whatever. I don't know. She's got that streak in her hair. She's Venom. She's whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Silver one.
Silver one.
Oh man. So Iron Flame. Here's the title, guys. So like I reread like the ending a little bit, and the Iron Flame, the title kind of hit me a little bit towards the end of the book, because I was thinking about, remember at the beginning we were like, she's gonna burn it down, like what exactly are they gonna burn down? Well, they said it at the very end. Violet said she was looking at the ward, right? Mm-hmm. And after the dragons had, you know, they blew the dragon breath, the fire, and she's like, she looked at the Iron Flame and she said it was the last thing that was like of her mother, the final, like that's all that was left of her mother. Mm-hmm. And the Iron Flame, like she's the Iron Flame, she's the mom.
No, I had the same thought, and I was like, I cannot believe this whole book is named after the mom.
That's okay. Yes, I was like, is that what I'm supposed to think? Because that's what I'm thinking.
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I think that was like that was the main point of this book, was right. Like they defended by putting that ward up, right? That's how the book ended. They, you know, all the Venom fell. It was, you know, they won that battle or whatever, and it's because she was able to produce the ward or whatever, and the mom, was in the iron.
The
yeah.
iron
No, I know.
queen.
I had the same thought, and it was humbling.
It was more heart. My heart was already like. See, remember I'm telling you, like when I finished the book, I was like, man, I'm sad. Poor Xaden, poor Violet. Where to now? Where do we go?
Where do we go now, y'all? I don't know. I think we have a lot coming our way. I mean, it's like I just feel like it's like there are so many books that start that way. It's like I the first thing I think of is like Harry Potter, right? Where it's like the first villains that we're introduced to are very minute. Like, I mean, we know about Voldemort, right? But like there's lesser evil than the main evil.
Yeah.
So I don't even think like this sage that we just defeated,
scratching the surface.
like the Empyrean, we haven't even gotten there yet. Like we are fighting on such a smaller scale than what the big picture is, and so there's just so much more to go.
Yeah, I agree. I'm ready for it. I'm like, I have all the looming questions, and I'm ready for some more answers. I'm along for the ride. Loving the characters. I'm gonna miss them in between the breaks.
Luckily, we don't have to wait too long
That's
for the next one.
That's true.
As soon as I finished reading the book, I finally allowed myself to start watching some TikToks because I was so nervous about spoilers. So I allowed myself, and I can't remember what her handle was. So I'm so sorry if this was you and you're listening. And I'm not taking credit for this theory by any means, but.
So we found it. It's at Mikia_Rose at MIKIA_Rose. Thank you so much for this theory.
Her theory is that her signet or something different about Violet is that she is like part dragon.
Violet is part dragon?
Because at the end, she can like communicate with dragon. Like she walked up to Melgrith's dragon.
Yeah.
Right. And like was able to just like he didn't blow her to smoke because she was looked him in the eye or talking to him. And she's been able to like communicate easier with dragons. And so there's like this whole theory, I guess, that she's like connected some way to the dragons, and that's like why Andarna waited to hatch, because she's like, I don't know, has like some lineage too. And like the fact that we haven't even met the Empyrean, it's like who really lives like amongst the Empyrean or whatever. And so it's like, is Violet like the key in some way because she has like dragon lineage or something?
That is a very good point, because I know they're not supposed to talk to the dragons. So it's that they're not supposed to, but not that they've never really done it.
Yeah. Like some rules that apply to other people don't apply to Violet when it comes to the dragons. Like, I guess is the point that I'm trying to make.
She's going to be like the chosen one. Like
she's like the Harry Potter of this world.
Yes. And then, so she heard Sigale's thoughts, but she can just hear that because of Xaden's bond, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we're gonna find out more about Violet's dad.
That's what we've got to. Yeah.
Xaden's mom. More about all this Venom business, like who's really above the sage, who's really the mastermind. Yeah, and more about Andarna. And oh my gosh, there's so much. I think when y'all were saying about like there's so much more, we're just barely scratching the surface. Like it just again speaks to like Rebecca Yarros' talent. I'm like, how can you tie this all together into like 5 books and like everything making sense so far and everything's building and to like something way bigger? I'm like, that is insane.
She's like, she has the ability to like give us so much information without answering like big questions. Like for all the information that we get, I still have a lot of questions.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and
her admirable. Yeah.
Yes.
Good storytelling.
Well, and her foreshadowing is like unmatched. And it took me really until this book to realize, like, man, if there's some detail that's slightly out of like character or seems a little like, oh, that shouldn't really be that important, it's going to be important at some point. And so then it just makes the theories start to go wilder, which is what that's what a good book does, is it, it promotes wanting to discuss it. I mean, this is a perfect book club book because there's so much to talk about and there's so much that could possibly happen.
So I think this can bring us to our signature question, right? We haven't since we wrapped up this book.
Yes.
So how are y'all feeling, ladies? I feel like it goes unsaid.
Yeah.
Like would you
carry it? would you keep it in your bag or would you just throw it away? So I think we can speak for everybody. We're all going to carry it, right? Proudly.
Absolutely.
Like wearing the merch. Like we've got the hats on. We've got, you know, like, yeah, I think it's a win-win-win.
I am carrying this book. I am carrying it. I am probably going to have to reread it again because,
Or even like when all 5 are released, like rereading it, I think it would be such a treat too.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I feel like Angela too, like, I feel like the first one, like you and I both, that was a reread whenever we did the first one. Whenever I reread it, I was like, oh, like that was so interesting now reading it from the perspective that I already know that, like all of her really just genius foreshadowing. And so for the second one, I can only imagine what a reread would be like now, knowing at the end, like all the little things you'll probably pick up on. So yeah, we might have to reread for sure.
Yeah, all the Easter eggs. Solid choice. So yeah, definitely excited for the release, which is coming soon and so quickly. And I'm so excited. And it's going to be great. We're going to be reading, and I hope our listeners, I hope you guys join us and read it along with us. We're going to, it's going to be exciting.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening and for joining us on this journey. And we can't wait to see you next time. And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Book Carriers.
We hope you enjoyed diving into this week's read with us as much as we did.
Thank you so much for joining us on this literary adventure. Your support means the world to us.
If you loved today's episode, don't forget to follow us on social media for updates, behind-the-scene fun, and more bookish content.
And if you're feeling generous, please rate our podcast 5 stars. Your reviews help other book carriers find us and join our growing community.
Remember, we'll be back with a new episode every week, catching up on our latest read.
Until next time, keep reading and living those amazing stories.
Bye for now.
Happy reading.
I've been called to the pages, and it doesn't take long.